Okay, well, I've just finished a little script based on this discussion, and it is little, and it is a really quick script. But I think it's about time we encourage new players to feel welcomed into this community. I feel like they need a boost. So, as we all know, there's a new chapter coming for DBD. I mean, that's pretty standard, happens kind of every 3 months. And with this, there's new potential for players to be joining the community and picking up the game, whether they haven't heard of it at all, or their friends have played it, they've seen it on different platforms, or they're moving over platforms. There are new people coming. And on top of this, we also know that there has been the addition of crossplay, encouraging even more players to come. So regardless, this 4-year-old game, it's getting new players. Like I just mentioned, this game's been out for 4 years, and we've got grizzled veterans across the game that have been playing for hours and hours across those 4 years. New players are coming very late to the game. I think it's time that these new players have a slight boost when they first join, so that they can be encouraged to stick around for longer and not be intimidated or feel like they're super behind those that have been playing for the course of over the whole release. The thing that I think, a small change that I believe that'll encourage new players to kind of stick around for longer than usual, is literally just to have a level 15 player at the start, so survivor and killer, that they get to choose. So they would immediately have 4 perks available to them to use, and they won't be starting with completely fresh, just have the choice of 1 perk or 2 perk if they get blood points for buying the game. They'll actually have 4 that they can choose for a survivor and killer of their choice. So immediately they won't just have only the 3 that survivor has, they'll have the addition of a few from the generic pool of perks that existed at the base game, so that when they just get to the end screen of a game, they don't look like they're by themselves with 1 perk on their character, whereas all the other teammates they had 4, and the killer also had 4, or all the survivors had 4, and he was a killer with 1. Although we know leveling a character doesn't take long to get 4 perks, new players don't know that yet. So experienced players will know how to get the blood points to level up their character, but those that just started the game, they won't know how to do that. So if we give them 4 perks at the start, and they get to the end screen, and they see that they're equal because they have 4 perks, all that they think they don't have is just experience in the game, and that's standard. Any person who picks up a new game won't have the experience of those who've been playing it for 4 years. Hopefully this will boost their spirits in wins and losses, and encourage them to stick around and play a bit more. One method of doing this that I would personally like to see is that when they're choosing their survivor or the killer that they want to play, they will see a screen where they get to have the probability of perks that they may get for the survivor or killer. These perks coming from the generic pool of perks you get at the start, and it being random for each survivor. Yeah, there can be the same ones here or there in each survivor, of course. But they get to see how likely they might be to get this perk, or how they might be missing some perks from other characters. This probability introduces the randomness stat they'll also get familiar with when using the blood whip to get more perks. As we all know, that can be pretty random, and you can get some bad luck sometimes if you're hoping to get a perk that you might not get on that tree. So this randomness will carry on over into the blood points system with the blood webs, with how they can progress their character further. On top of this, they have the ability to look into the perks that they may receive, and therefore just compare them to the other characters. So there are some players that just want to pick up and go and play the game, not worry about that stuff too much, they just want to get in. And that there are, I think, the more common people within this community where they want to actually research what's the better ones that they can get and use, and which ones are more advantageous. And it kind of fulfills that desire for those who like to do the research and try and be efficient and encourage that part of them in this game. So it kind of fulfills that desire and makes them want to play more. I think that this would be a great improvement that this 4-year-old game needs. This game is still getting developed every 3 months with a pretty big update every 3 months. We get a new killer, new survivor, a new map every time. There's been 20 major updates or more so on this game for 4 years, where there's just more and more content being added, rebalances, more additions, and I think it's time to allow for new players to just have a little, and because we know how to level, this is a little boost, so that we can just keep the community growing. There are other games that try and encourage new players to join by going free to play or freemium. This game doesn't need that. It's getting new players regardless. So we don't want to punish those coming late to the party. We want to welcome them. But that's just me.